Hello everyone, welcome to this Excel training video. In this video we are going to learn the average if and the average ifs function. The average if function works by having Excel look through a table, sort through your data, and give you back an average of what you're looking for. So let's take a look at the syntax so we can get a better understanding. The first part of the average if syntax is the range, and the range is where you're going to look for your information. Usually it's the column that you're looking under. And you can find the range, you can define the range, define it in a couple of ways. You can select the entire column that you're going to be looking for. And so once you've selected it, that can be your range, or you can name your selection, and that's what I've already done. I've already named this entire column the salesperson column, this column the date column, this is the vacation package, the volume, and the revenue column. I've already named all these rather than having to select them each time. The next part is their criteria, and their criteria is the variable that you're looking up in your range. You're looking up under the salesperson column, you're looking for a specific salesperson, and that's your criteria, that's your variable that you're looking for. And the average range here is ultimately what you're trying to find. What's the average? So what am I looking up? So let's look through this example of average if, and in this one we're looking for the sales volume. So the average sales volume for each travel agent. So we start by putting our equal sign, and then we begin by typing our function. And Excel is very helpful because it starts to help you autocomplete. And so if you see the one that you want, I want the average if function, I'm going to click on that, double click it, and it's already added that in with the first parentheses. And now again, range is where we're looking for what we want. So where am I going to find the salesperson? I'm going to find that under the salesperson column. And so because I've already named it, I can just type salesperson and Excel will help me by auto-completing. If you didn't put salesperson, what I could do is I could just select this entire row here, or this entire column rather. But you can see it takes a lot longer. I've selected all of them, and it will find Dave under there, but it's just a lot easier to name your columns and your rows so that when you want to find it, you don't have to select it again. You just select it one time. So let's go back. I've already named it, so I'll just salesperson, and the variable that I'm looking up under this column is Dave. I want to know Dave's sales volume. So I could either you could either type Dave, but you have to use quotes if it's text, or the easy way is just to click on the where I have Dave typed here, click on the cell, comma. Now what do I want to find? Ultimately I want to find Dave's sales volume, so I'm going to look under the sales volume and see what Dave's total sales volume is by typing V, and then you can see I've already have the column named, volume, and enter. And now I have the average sales volume for Dave for all the sales he's made. And I can just click on this and drag it, and I'm going to get everyone else's sales volume. So pretty easy when you just have one criteria that you're looking for. But if you have more than one criteria, you're going to have to use this average ifs function. And if we go back up here, if you remember the average range, that's basically what you want to know in the end. At the end of the day, what are we trying to find out? So in this one, we were trying to find out the sales volume. And on this example, we're going to try and find out the revenue. But there's more than one criteria. We want to know each salesperson's revenue, but for a specific year within this table. And so that means we have more than one criteria to look up, and so we have to use the average ifs function. So it's essentially the same thing, but it's backwards a little bit, because we start, instead of ending, we start with what we want to know. And that would be the revenue. And then we enter the range for the criteria, and then the criteria itself. And then we continue until we have all the different variables entered. So let's go ahead and do this example so that you can take a look at that. We're going to start with our equal sign again. We're going to type average, and we see that it's already there, average ifs. Make sure you get the plural one when you're adding more than one piece of information. here. And so then go ahead and I'm clicking here the average range. What do I want to look up? I want to know the revenue. So if I scroll up a little bit, we can see that I have my revenue column, and that's where I'm going to have the final answer, so revenue, comma, and then what do I want to know also? I want to know a specific agent, so I'm going to do the salesperson like I did in the previous example, and I'm going to find the agent himself or herself, and then I need to know the date. So for this one, because I have different dates here, and I want to narrow it down to a specific range of just 1 year, I'm going to have to actually enter date twice and give them a range. So I click date, comma, and then parentheses, and it's going to have to be greater than or equal to, and to tie it together, and the date that I'm looking in. So I'm looking in 2010. You start with the year, and then the month, January 1st, and then the 1st of January, and end quote, comma, that's period, comma. Now I have to give the end of the range. So again, we're looking through the date column, and then comma, and we're going to look for less than. We're going to close our range out, less than or equal to, end quote there, and then an ampersand, and a quote, 2010, and then we're going to look for everything below this, so the month again, so 12, December, and then the 21, it's actually the 31st. I want everything within the entire year, and then there's our end quote. So you can take a look at this formula. You can pause it now if you want to take notes, or you can rewind it and watch it again. But you can see here we have our range by looking what's greater than or equal to the first of the year, and then less than or equal to at the end of the year, and so we get everything within our date range. So average if, we're finding out what the revenue is. We're looking for each salesperson's revenue within this particular year. So I can go ahead and just hit enter, and now I have the average of Dave's revenue for all of 2010. Because I want to do this very quickly, you can see that A21 is relative. It's not absolute, and so that means I can just drag this, hit escape there. So A21, it's Dave, so I can just drag this down, and I'll get everyone's average for the year. Keep dragging down. There we go. And so very quickly I've gotten everyone's average sales revenue. Now let's take a look at how do we move this over. Well, that's not too hard. All we have to do is we click on our cell that we have for Dave, and we just make it a absolute value by pressing the F4 key on the keyboard. And you can see that now it is an absolute value, so I can just hit enter, and I'm going to drag this over, but you see that we haven't changed our dates. So it's doing the same dates for all the years. So what I have to do is I have to go in there, and that was 2011 that I want. So I click 2011, changes 2010, enter, and then I'm going to actually do that again for here to this 2010, but for this column we want 2012. So all I have to do is change two numbers, and I now have the average for all 3 years for Dave. But now I want to go down and do all the other salespeople, so I highlight my cell for the salesperson, and again I press the F4 key on the keyboard. I hit the F4 key on the keyboard 3 times, and it goes back to becoming a relative value, and then I can drag it down and it will fill in. So if we click here, you can see that it changed from A21 to A22. Click here to A23 and A24, so it's now going through all the salespeople. And I'm going to do that again, so I highlight the cell, I hit the F4 key on the keyboard 3 times, hit enter, and then I can just drag it down. And now I have the average revenue for all of the salespeople for each of their years. And those are the average if and the average ifs function. If you like this video, please go ahead and click the thumbs up button, the like button, And if you'd like to see more of these videos, go ahead and click subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much.